Build.iQ here. It's a web-based platform, not dissimilar from Build.Exact and some others. It's probably has a lot more similarities to Buildsoft and to Data Build than to Build.Exact. It has a very, very comprehensive catalog, which is it's just huge with a range of options. I'm just going to take a step back and just jump back to the sign-in screen. As you can see, the web address is buildiq.app/integrity. We're an approved reseller of the software. It's the software package with which I'll be very soon doing all of my post-contract estimating in for franchisees and iGyro clients via the Service Hub. We're able to migrate our existing databases across. So we're just going to log into the test company database. And I'm just copying my password off screen. Now across the top here, you have a range of options: unit of measurement, cost centers, price files, suppliers, jobs, bill of quantities, batch orders, copy quantities, and reports. So if we have a look here at the units of measurement, these are all being pre-filled out by us from our history with other post-contract estimating software packages. You have as many options as you like. As you can see here, you can specify the calculation routine as well as equivalent import text. So this field here is very useful when a supplier sends you over a price file in Excel, and they may use any different combination to refer to a linear meter, while we refer to it as LIN_M. Certain suppliers in that price file might refer to it as meter or one linear met or LM or any other combination. So we're able to set equivalent import text so that when we're doing an import of a price file from a supplier, it can interpret what is in that cell or that row from the supplier and assign it to linear meters, for example. Same applies for each. We've got EA and UOM. Most of the others are pretty self-explanatory, or you wouldn't necessarily find you would receive in a supplier's price file. You can see there's 44 different options here. You have the option of bolding some, non-bolding others, and that's how they'll appear in a future estimate that you're working on. Move across to cost centers. Once again, we've already set this up for everyone. In Gyro, we map cost centers to GL accounts and to tracking codes for invoice purposes. This allows us to get the whole spectrum from start to finish. Purchase order generation flows through to invoicing, comes back, things match. So we have our range of cost center codes here, as well as their, common name or textual name. And you'll find that these codes and these names are replicated throughout iGyro in the purchase order screen and also in the admin panel. These can be configured in iGyro to match any GL code system you like. You can have all of these set up to one GL code for costs of construction, which is not recommended by us, or you can map each individual one to its own GL code, which gives you a far greater ability to do financial reporting. Or you can take subsets and range 3 or 4 together. For example, if you're just interested in carpentry labor as being one GL code and weren't really concerned about the material breakup of that, then you might take, for example, cost center 360, 470, 471, 580, and 585, and put all those on one GL code together. We offer the full flexibility. Moving across into the price file. This is a snapshot at a point in time of the Integrity Cost Coast database. As you can see, we have a range of items here at the top, which have just got dummy codes in front of them. They're set up so that we can manually create items on the fly using these unit codes. So if I wanted to add an item into an estimate that doesn't exist in a pricing catalog, I can just add item 000014 and it will automatically come through with a unit type of one box. Same can go for quote, which is 4 zeros followed by 4. Now, if we click on each of these items, you'll see there's a details, prices tab, a picture tab, which we don't use often, a templates tab, a notes tab, and a specification tab. Now, if we look through at just a random item, for example, from Bunnings being EcoDeck, it's a Bunnings product, and we have the unit type of 1 length. We have it assigned to cost center 335 being our timber floor cost center, which means when we select cost center 335 in the bill of quantities, surely it'll appear in the default list. We don't have any area pricing defined. It's a supplier product, so we use supplier pricing. The benefits around that is that we get very systemized and efficient updating systems. Rather than it being a manual process, we can match fine lines to a price file, and we can push through a new price update from a major supplier such as Bunnings very, very quickly. So you'll see all the prices down the bottom here appear in the all dates list. Now, if I just move this to last date field, you'll see the last pricing that we got from Bunnings on this particular line item being the EcoDeck 137 is $60.76. That's Bunnings fine line reference. And then there is a Bunnings Metro and a Bunnings regional price. Now that's done through postcode matching. One of the amazing features of the software is that there's just so much flexibility. You can define areas in whatever fashion you like, either through the use of area pricing or further to that, supplier area pricing. So supplier area pricing allows you to define postcodes or postcode ranges for a region, give it a name, and then assign that reference or that area to a supplier in the future. So an example might be if I looked at cost center 540, being our installation supplier. In here we have area Mid-North Coast region. The Mid-North Coast region I've defined by a range of postcodes, and that means that when the job appears with a Mid-North Coast region price, then that price will come in. Another example here. Alternatively, if the job site address doesn't have a postcode or has a postcode outside of that range, then the price will not appear. There's some awesome features you can build around this. For example, Bunnings, we've pretty much mapped the country into regional, metro, and remote charges, dependent on the likely location that the product will come from a trade store. And we can determine from that whether one of those 3 price files applies, which not all products are broken down. Some of them have a national price that's available everywhere. Others, there can be regional freight charges associated, which are incurred in a line item. For example, various insulation, plasterboard products. The Bunnings Metro price is a fraction cheaper than the regional price on plasterboard. So by going into the job and setting the job's site postcode, and if that postcode then exists in a defined area that I've set up, the appropriate price will be applied automatically. So as I was saying earlier, very, very capable and well-developed pricing catalog. There's 4,249 items. Now, when you come on board with us, we will furnish you with the most current, appropriate price file that we have available that's current at that point in time, and you'll be able to adopt that and do whatever you like with it thereafter. Further to that, we've got the suppliers tab, which we integrate with iGyro, so we're able to push through newly created suppliers from iGyro into this package and write it into its database tables. So you can fill out the supplier's job supplier code in iGyro, fill out their name, and it will automatically flow through seamlessly in the background, as well as the ABN. The reason you need to have suppliers in here is that we're obviously assigning prices to these suppliers, so the suppliers need to be there so that you can assign orders to them and send purchase orders to them. Bunnings, for example, it's in there as a supplier, 45 days, ABN, It's got their orders address. There's our Bunnings New South Wales supplier code and supplier name. Further to that, you can set up insurance information. So if you're dealing with subcontractors, for example, you can you can keep a record of when their insurance is due to expire and monitor that process. Moving on to the jobs. At this point in time, there's only one test job, obviously, in the test database. Here's the client information, which is the end consumer with whom you're building for, followed by the site information for the job. As you can see, I've delegated that is none your business, being the town and city. I'm the estimator, and I've defined a postcode being 2450 here. 2450 is the Coffs Harbour postcode, which will feature in most of the prices that are obviously set up in this Coffs Coast database. Moving on to the bill of quantities. Very, very straightforward. Down the left-hand side, you have your catalog items. Now, the catalog items display the items that you've set up in each of the cost centers. In the middle, you have your cost centers, and as you click on them, they will display the appropriate items dependent on the cost center you've assigned to that item previously in the price file. So you can double click an item to add it in. You can specify quantities. And if I come here and set this to supplier price, press enter, and set up my suppliers. So this is a test environment. So in this instance, we're not going to actually see the supplier price until I go back to the suppliers, the price file, and go to item here, add a supplier to a region. And I'm looking like a fool right now because I was in it like 10 minutes ago. We'll come back to that. Just circling back, we're on the areas and postcodes. This is what I was talking about earlier. As you can see, you can define a region being any free-form text you like and a postcode associated. Now, that can be as simple as a single postcode, or it can be a whole range of postcodes. And you can make them as small or as large as you like. So you can define every single region or every single suburb as a postcode. And then further to that, you can add those postcodes a second time in a larger subset region. If, for example, you're given the one price from a supplier for a whole region, a whole mid-north coast, you can have the postcode 2450 appearing in a Coffs Harbour heading, and then you can have 2450 appearing in the heading mid-north coast. And as long as you then, in this section over here, have the appropriate area defined and that postcode set up on the job, it will find and apply the correct one. As I was saying earlier with Bunnings, we've gone to the effort of defining almost every postcode available in Australia to either Bunnings, regional, metro, or remote. And so when we're setting up our Bunnings price files, we can put in either or both in, and then the system will determine the most appropriate price to apply. Now, it's still trying to find that section I was in about 3 minutes ago, where you set up those in cost centers. Supplier. So if I, for example, come to 056, being the cost center we just added an item to, and go to assign price preferred supplier, we've got Amos and McDonald's selected. We're going to just jump down a little bit further and look for Energy Advance. Energy Advance is one of our partner companies that do all of our basics and nathers. And back here to the job, to the bill of quantities, come back to this cost center. Energy Advance. Theoretically, price should come in. At this point in time, it's not working because the database is still in a test environment. I haven't set up the areas for this particular region. For example, if we took a step away from area pricing and instead looked at regional pricing, as in you can set a subcontractor rate. This one here comes in at 0.39. You can choose any other price level here. So there's price levels and supplier prices. Once again, a huge amount of options. If you operate in one area, you may find that, for example, you just have one price level set up, which is what you pay your trades everywhere, and that's that. If, however, you find that your business is growing across the regions and you need to split your territory into two and run two different teams of trades who may be getting paid different rates, then you would make a duplicate copy of price level 1 at a point in time, create a new one called price level 2, call it, upper territory or whatever you want to call it, and then you can adjust the rates accordingly. Further to that, if you start building even further and further abroad, you could have mid-north coast, northwest, you name it. The reason we've got 15 here is because at one point in time we were building across 15 different territories, and that was based upon trade rates. So let's say you add an item, double click on the supplier to assign the supplier. Enter. And now we have an order sitting there for the building and construction company for the long service levy at 39 cents per 100. This would ordinarily be where you put in the contract value. So on $200,000 plus GST contract, you would be liable for $780 in New South Wales for long service levy. You have the ability to color items, which once again make it easier to delineate items you have complete versus those you haven't. Further to that, it allows you to show which items may be a problem in a particular cost center. Let's say you've got all your cladding quantities, and there's just one timber post in that cost center, which is not yet decided. The client hasn't decided whether it's pine or merbau. You could put in one item and you can mark it a color, and you can put in the other item and mark it a different color, and then you'll know straight up that there's an issue with that cost center. And the next step would be to generate a purchase order. So if I just select this cost center once more, sorry, just select the order and preview. Now, if you have a PDF viewer in your browser as standard, this will open up inside your browser. I always like to open my PDFs externally, so it's just opening up off screen, and I'm going to drag it over in a moment. All this information here is configurable. You can have all your own additional notes and standard conditions and so on and so forth, add your own letterheads and logos. It's all pretty common as far as a purchase order looks. Now, batch orders allows you to generate multiple purchase orders simultaneously if you've completed the whole project, or you've completed a various stage, say up to site establishment, and you just want to get your block work and your slab underway. Then you might send the first 10 orders, and you can do that from this screen here by ticking as many as you want to send, and they can be emailed directly to the suppliers from the software, or alternatively you can save them to PDF and send them via Gyro, which gives you the benefit of accounting. There is a quantities function, which is helpful if you've finished a job that's very, very similar to a project you're about to undertake. You can come in and just make an exact job, and a range of reports. So once you've finished estimating it, you can generate a report for a third party. Once it's just opening, it shows the total purchase orders or total quantity items associated with this test job we've created. So that is Build.iQ. In due course, each of the iGyro clients and franchisees will be given the opportunity to trial this program for 6 months for free. Should you wish to then adopt it in your business and see how it can improve your post-contract estimating and how well it can, I guess, integrate with iGyro to help you from an accounting perspective, there'll be a fee to keep it thereafter per month. Any questions? I'm just going to put it open to the floor for a few minutes. Oh, someone has raised a hand. Now I need to work out what that actually means. Bear with me one moment. Do trades have access to portal to update pricing? No, it's an excellent question. All the pricing file is managed internally by yourself. You access your own price file and you dictate and set your own prices. We ordinarily don't take the approach that the trades tell us what we're going to pay them. It's the reciprocal. We price a job and we then will pay them what we deem to be appropriate. If it turns out that price is too little, then we will, review our rates accordingly thereafter. But excellent question. And Glenn has made a valid comment. Through the iGyro system using the quotes module, a link is sent out with a quote request, which allows a trade to load, or a supplier, which is ordinarily what we would get quoted, allows either to load their pricing or their attachments directly into Gyro using those links. That doesn't flow through to the estimating package, though. That those quotes need to be checked and manually entered. Any other questions? So that's it for another minute. All right, well, I hope everyone has an excellent afternoon and weekend, and we'll see you all next week.